So I thought it was really interesting how many of the main characters, or pretty much all of the main characters from the play, were actually real people who had basically firsthand knowledge of the situation. Because of that, I feel like you could kind of feel like the actual tension and the emotion that was conveyed even just through reading the script without even having to see the play. One value that I think was clearly pushed was the idea of equality. The play highlights this, especially when they're talking about the first woman to ever vote in a Democratic election was actually from Wyoming, and that is actually why it's called the Equality State. Another value that was represented was the idea of empathy, and this is really closely related to equality, I feel like. And it was really exemplified when the Catholic priest, even though he himself stated that he didn't agree with the fact that Matthew was homosexual, but even despite that, he still held like a candlelit vigil for Matthew and anybody else who felt like they wanted to come, despite the fact that many of the other ministers that he was with just thought that it was a bad idea and that they should wait to kind of like see how the community would like handle the situation. And I think that was a really good exemplification of empathy and just providing everyone equality. And another instance of the empathy would be in Matthew's father, Dennis, deciding not to request the death penalty. And I myself was kind of like thinking, what would I do in that situation? How would I be able to handle it? And many times I just thought, it'd be really, really easy just to say, yeah, give him the death penalty. As people in the play even said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I think he showed a lot of strength and, a lot of empathy in being able to say that he did not want him to be given the death penalty. And one part that I wasn't really confused by much of the play, if any, but I was just kind of confused as to how Reverend Fred Phillips, like the anti-homosexual guy or whatever that was trying to show up to the funerals and the trials, I can't understand how anyone, even though he may think he's doing a good thing or he's trying to do the right thing, I don't understand how anyone could possibly even think that they're helping out that situation in the slightest. If anything, he was doing nothing, literally nothing, to help out anyone other than just to cause more pain and suffering. I just don't understand, I think that kind of gives religion a bad rap sometimes because people don't like to see how extreme they can be or how some people can be, Laramie is depicted, I feel like, as kind of a hillbilly town. There was definitely a difference between acceptance and tolerance, and you could clearly tell that just by reading through the interviews between different people in the town. I think that the playwright wants everyone to walk away thinking like that Laramie is somewhat of a microcosm of like the United States as a whole, in that pretty much throughout the U.S. We have a conglomeration of people who are for and against homosexuality, a host of different issues, abortion, whatever it may be. And I think this just kind of shows how people need to start coexisting together because things like this can happen. I don't think this could happen in Columbus. I think we're kind of too much of a too liberal city, but in like rural Ohio or some other areas, I think it's definitely possible. It is possible in Columbus, but I think it's unlikely. The use of interviewees, I think, provided, first of all, a first-hand experience, so it was a lot easier to understand. The progression of the story was marked by events, which helped you kind of keep things more situated together and actually like comprehend exactly what was happening. And my two questions: how would you react if something similar had happened in your hometown? And the other question would be, do you think that they actually deserve the death penalty, or was their punishment warranted?